I'm Dave Cullen. I'm the lobbyist for Sierra Club Florida, and I'm here to talk about Senate Bill 542 by Senator Rodriguez, public financing of construction projects. Well, first let's talk a little bit about what climate is. Climate is the overall weather and conditions that people find themselves in wherever they are on the planet. There are desert climates, there are tropical climates, there's Arctic climate. So climate change is when the area that you're in, those conditions change as a result, in this case, of too much greenhouse gas, predominantly carbon dioxide, in the atmosphere. And what CO2 does is that it reflects back the heat that normally would radiate away from the planet, particularly at night, and it keeps it in the atmosphere like a blanket. That heats up the air, which eventually heats up the water, the ocean, and the overall increase in the amount of energy winds up changing the weather patterns and the conditions that we experience, and that's why it's called climate change. The bill doesn't actually combat climate change. What it's aimed at is helping to adapt to climate change. The bill requires a sea level impact projection study to be done for any coastal construction that's going to be done with public tax dollars. And the idea behind this is to make sure that if tax dollars are spent on building something, it's not going to be spent on building something that's going to be underwater in a couple of years. What it does is that it requires the construction project before it commences to do that sea level impact projection study, so that if the projection study reveals that sea level rise is going to be a problem given the location of the project, the overall plan for it, whether it's going to have residences on the ground floor or if it's going to be elevated, that would make a difference. But if there's going to be an impact from projected sea level rise, then it would require that to be addressed. The study has to be studied by the Department of Environmental Protection, and if they sign off on it, then all well and good. But if it reveals that adjustments have to be made to the architectural plans, then that would have to happen before the building is constructed. It requires a rigorous use of natural sciences to determine the risks. It requires the consideration of sea level rise, which is relatively new for anything coming out of the Florida government. We think that's a good sign. It looks for a mean annual damage assessment. There are a number of requirements in the bill for taking a legitimate and hard-nosed look at the impact of sea level rise on public expenditure of dollars for a project that hopefully the communities can rely on for some time. Some of that depends on what point in the construction you're at. If it's early on, then the Department of Environmental Protection, DEP, can go to court and get an injunction to stop the construction. If it has proceeded past a certain point, then DEP can go to court and sue to get the state's money back. We want to thank Senator Rodriguez for filing it. It is a valuable bill. It does take sea level rise into consideration, which is important here in Florida. We have well over 1,000 miles of coast, and particularly South Florida is already experiencing sunny day flooding. It is an issue that we're going to have to deal with, and we are both going to have to fight it by trying to reduce emissions, and we're also going to have to adapt to that which has already taken place, and that is going to continue for some time. At this point, all we can hope to do in the near term is to reduce the rate of increase of sea level rise. We can't stop it overnight.